So I want to ask a follow up to this.
Sure.
So you sold your IT business
Yeah.
and then you moved into investing, and of course, Pabrai Investment Funds has been successful. I was wondering what you found to be an unexpected challenge that you wouldn't have expected before you became a professional investor.
Um, Actually, it was, I didn't really find it challenging. What I found very interesting was that couple of things. One is that, when I started the funds in 1999, uh, Buffett had ended his partnerships in 1969, 1970, almost 30 years. And the best that I could tell, in 30 years, I didn't know of anyone who had set up a model just like the Buffett partnerships in running like with zero fees and 1/4 over 6% and all of that. And I thought that was kind of strange because I thought that that's a good way to get a competitive advantage because you're basically uh, not telling people the industry works on just asset gathering and fees and all of that, and it doesn't take into account the interest of the investor. So I thought that focusing on giving the investors a good deal would be very good. What actually ended up happening? So first, I thought about the funds as a hobby. I didn't even think about like trying to scale it. Then when the business got sold and I actually started running it, and there was about 2.5 million. We started with 1 million. We had about 2.5 million a year later. I said, why do I treat this like a stepchild? Why don't I actually focus on building this business the way Warren built the business? So, um, and of course, there were some issues because the SEC doesn't allow you to advertise or solicit and all that. So I was always concerned about how am I going to get uh, more investors and such. And but then that problem also, I figured out a solution. Uh, I used to have, when we first started, we had 8 investors when we started with 1 million, and a year later we had 17 investors. And of course now it's a few hundred. But so when we had those 8 investors, and I remember we had our first annual meeting, which was around a conference table, and then we went for dinner in my old office in the IT firm. So I I told these guys, because at that time I had decided that we want to scale this fund, but I don't know how to scale it. So I said, look, um, you have been put on earth for one reason. And the reason you've been put on earth is to bring investors to Pabrai funds. That is your mission. And so talk to friends, family, and fools and bring them in, and have them contact me. Because if Jeff contacts his friend and contacts me, that's fine. I just can't contact them directly, right? And and the thing is, what I learned about humans is that humans are looking for direction. They need to be told what to do, or like Bill Gates says that even if you're a monopoly, you have to ask for the order. So what I found is that these these investors were actually quite happy, and then they started introducing me to some of their friends and family and so on, and we started growing and scaling from there. So I didn't really see much of an issue. It was a lot of fun actually to try to. In effect, I was reliving the Buffett partnerships about 30 years later, and the real first storm we faced was really about 9 years after that, when we hit the financial crisis, and that's when we had uh, we had Delta Financial go to zero and so on, and then had to work through that. So, but I found it a very blissful existence. It was really extremely different from the IT firm I just left with the 170 people, because I had just myself and an assistant working 10 hours, and that was it. And it was afternoon naps and everything else was great, so nothing to complain about.